Imagine this. You're lying there in the quiet of the night, heart still racing from the way he looked at you just hours ago, like you were the only woman in the world who could make him feel truly seen. His touch lingered on your skin. His voice dropped low when he whispered how safe he felt with you. The connection was electric, magnetic, the kind of pull that makes your breath catch and your body soften in surrender. And then he pulled away, not with anger, not with a fight, just that slow, familiar retreat. The texts grew shorter, the warmth cooled. The man who once couldn't get enough of your presence suddenly needed space. You tried to understand. You reached out gently, offering your heart like you always do, because that's who you are. An empath, the one who feels everything deeply, who pours love like warm honey, who wants nothing more than to hold space for his hidden fears. But the more you gave, the further he drifted. Until one day, you stopped. You went silent, not out of spite, not to play games. You simply chose yourself. You stopped explaining, stopped chasing, stopped soothing the ache you could feel radiating from him. You let the quiet settle between you like a soft veil, and that's when it happened, the collapse. Suddenly, the man who craved distance couldn't bear the silence. Messages started appearing at 2 a.m., calls with that familiar husky edge in his voice. The walls he built so carefully began to crack, revealing the raw, vulnerable longing underneath. He started unraveling, because the very thing he pushed for, your silence, became the mirror he couldn't look away from. Why does this happen? Why do avoidants, those mysterious magnetic souls who seem so strong and self-contained, fall apart the moment the empath they pushed away finally goes quiet? Today, I'm going to take you deep into that truth, not with judgment, not with blame, but with the kind of honest, intimate understanding that feels like a warm hand on your lower back, guiding you toward your own power. If you've ever loved someone who runs from closeness just when it starts to feel beautiful, if you've ever felt your heart stretch open only to watch them retreat, stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand exactly why their collapse is inevitable. And more importantly, how you can step into a version of love that feels safe, passionate, and deeply fulfilling without losing yourself in the process. Let's begin. Hello, beautiful. I'm so glad you're here with me right now. Whether you're curled up on your couch with a cup of tea, driving home after a long day, or lying in bed, letting these words wash over you like a gentle caress. Thank you for trusting this space. We're going to explore one of the most fascinating, heartbreaking, and ultimately liberating dynamics in modern love. The dance between the empath and the avoidant, you with your open heart, your intuitive ability to sense every unspoken emotion, your natural desire to merge souls and create something profound. And them, the avoidant, with their quiet strength, their independent spirit, their deep fear of being swallowed by intimacy, even as they crave it in secret. This isn't about labeling anyone as broken. We all carry wounds from the past. Some of us learned that love means giving everything. Others learned that love means protecting yourself at all costs. When these two worlds collide, the spark can be intoxicating, but the push-pull can leave you breathless for all the wrong reasons. Today, we're diving into why, after all the pushing, the distancing, the hot and cold nights that leave you aching with confusion, the moment you choose dignified silence, the avoidant often begins to collapse. We'll talk about the psychology, the hidden fears, the nervous system responses, and the beautiful reclaiming of your own sensual, powerful energy. And I'll give you gentle, powerful scripts, exact words you can use, so you never have to lose yourself again, because you deserve a love that meets you in the depths, not one that keeps you forever reaching. Let's go deeper. Let's start with you, lovely one. As an empath, you feel the world in high definition. A glance from someone you care about can send warmth flooding through your body. A sigh from your partner can make your chest tighten with the need to soothe. You don't just hear words, you feel the emotions behind them like a lover's breath on your neck. This sensitivity is your superpower. It allows you to create intimacy that feels almost magical. You can hold space for someone's pain without flinching. You can mirror their desires back to them so beautifully that they feel truly desired, truly wanted. But here's the seductive trap. That same gift makes you vulnerable to those who haven't yet learned to hold their own hearts. Now, the avoidant. He or she often appears confident, charming, even a little mysterious. There's a quiet intensity to them that draws you in like a slow burning flame. In the beginning, the connection feels electric, the late night conversations where time disappears, the way their hand brushes yours and lingers just long enough to make your pulse quicken, the rare moments of vulnerability when they let you see the boy or girl behind the armor. They want closeness. Deep down, they crave it with every fiber of their being. But as soon as the intimacy starts to feel real, when emotions deepen, when dependence creeps in, when they start to need you, their nervous system sounds the alarm. Too close, too dangerous. Pull back, so they push. Sometimes subtly, longer gaps between replies, sudden I need space conversations delivered in that low, serious tone. Sometimes more dramatically, picking small fights, creating distance, or disappearing emotionally even while lying right beside you in bed. And you, with your big, generous heart, respond the only way you know how. You lean in, you explain, you reassure, you offer more love, more understanding, more of your beautiful energy. Because that's what feels natural. That's what feels like love. But here's what's really happening beneath the surface. The avoidance push isn't usually about you not being enough. It's about their deep-seated fear that if they let you all the way in, they'll lose themselves. They learned, often in childhood, that depending on someone emotionally leads to pain, disappointment, or engulfment. So they built walls. Elegant, strong walls that keep them safe, but also keep real, soul-merging intimacy at arm's length. The tragedy. The more you pursue with love, the more their fear activates. Your beautiful attempts to connect start to feel like pressure to them. And so the cycle spins. Push, pursue, more distance, more pursuit, until one day you can't anymore, your energy is depleted, your heart feels heavy. The constant emotional labor of trying to bridge the gap starts to dim your own light. And that's when you go silent. Not coldly, not manipulatively. You simply stop pouring into a well that keeps draining you. You turn your attention back to yourself, the soft curves of your own desires, the quiet strength in your body, the sensual joy of nurturing your own soul. And that silence, it becomes the most powerful thing you've ever done. Because in that silence the dynamic shifts. The power balance that once felt so uneven begins to recalibrate. And the avoidant, who thought distance was their safe haven, starts to feel the absence of your warmth like a slow, aching void. Let me paint this picture for you as vividly as I can. Picture the avoidant in the early days of the push. They create space and feel a temporary rush of relief. Finally, I can breathe. I'm back in control. Their nervous system settles. They might even convince themselves they don't miss the intensity of your connection, but time passes. And without your constant soothing presence, without your empathetic voice gently unpacking their moods, without your loving energy holding the emotional container, they start to sit with themselves in a way they haven't in a long time. That's when the collapse begins. First comes the unease, a restlessness they can't quite name. They scroll through old messages, replaying the sound of your laugh in their mind. Their body remembers the way you made them feel. Seen, desired, safe enough to lower their guard for brief, intoxicating moments. Then the fear creeps in. Avoidants often carry a core wound around abandonment or engulfment. Ironically, by pushing you away, they create the very abandonment they fear. But when you were still reaching out, they could tell themselves, she'll always be there. I can pull back and she'll still try. Your silence removes that safety net. Suddenly, there's no one mirroring their emotions back to them. No one validating their hidden needs. The mirror they avoided for so long is now reflecting only their own emptiness. And it hurts. Their nervous system, which was in deactivation mode, the avoidance strategy of shutting down emotions to feel safe, now flips into a different kind of distress. Some describe it as a slow internal unraveling, like the ground shifting beneath them. They might start idealizing the connection they once devalued. Memories of your touch, your understanding, your sexy, effortless way of making them feel alive flood back with surprising intensity. This is the collapse. Not always dramatic tears or grand gestures, though sometimes those come. Often it's quieter. Restless nights, sudden waves of regret, an almost obsessive need to check if you're okay. The man who once said, "I need space," now finds the space unbearable because it no longer contains your presence. Why does this hit avoidance so hard with empaths specifically? Because empaths offer a rare kind of attunement. You don't just love them, you feel them. You anticipate their needs before they voice them. You create an emotional safety that feels profoundly seductive and healing until their fear overrides it. When that attunement is withdrawn, not angrily, but with quiet dignity, the avoidant loses the one person who made vulnerability feel possible. The contrast is stark. Other people might not have reached that depth with them, but you did, and now the absence of that depth echoes loudly. It triggers their deepest fear that they are unlovable if they show their true needs, or that real love will eventually consume them. Your silence forces them to confront that they pushed away someone who genuinely saw them, and in that confrontation, many begin to crack open. Some reach out with that low, husky voice you remember. "I've been thinking about you." Others send indirect signals, liking old photos, posting things they know you'll see. A few even show up with genuine vulnerability, admitting the space felt colder than they expected. But here's the seductive truth I want you to feel in your body right now. Their collapse isn't your responsibility to fix. It's information. It shows you how powerful your energy truly is. How deeply your love lands when it's given freely, and how equally powerful it becomes when you choose to protect it. You are not the villain for going quiet. You are the woman or man who finally chose to stop abandoning herself in the name of love. Let's go even deeper into their world for a moment, not to excuse the behavior, but to understand it with compassion. Because understanding creates choice, and choice is freedom. In the early days of the push, they feel overwhelmed by closeness. Maybe you had a beautiful, intimate evening, the kind where eyes lock and bodies lean in naturally. The next day, panic sets in. They pull back to regulate. Relief washes over them. "I'm safe again." Then comes the testing phase. They expect you to chase. When you do, as empaths often do at first, it reinforces their belief that they can have distance without consequence. But each time you soothe, it also stirs guilt and confusion inside them. They want you, but they fear wanting you. When you finally go silent, at first they might feel justified. "See, I knew it was too much." But as days turn into weeks, the absence grows. Their mind starts replaying moments. The way your voice softened when you said their name, the intuitive way you touched their arm when they were distant, the profound sense of being understood that no casual connection ever matched. The body remembers too. That subtle ache in the chest, the restlessness at night, the way ordinary moments feel flatter without your spark. Then the emotional flood arrives. This is the collapse proper. Suppressed feelings rise. Regret, longing, fear of having lost something rare. Some avoidants describe it as waking up to how much they actually cared once the safety of your pursuit is removed. They might intellectualize it at first. It was never going to work, but the heart and body don't lie. The nervous system, no longer able to use distance as a perfect shield, starts signaling distress. Some will contact you, sometimes clumsily, sometimes with surprising tenderness. Others will suffer in silence, too proud or too scared to admit the void. But internally, the collapse continues. Many report feeling haunted by the empath they pushed away. This isn't because you're magical in some mystical sense, though it can feel that way. It's because you represented a level of emotional and sensual attunement they rarely experience. Your silence removed the external regulation you provided, forcing them to face their own unmet needs. And that, my love, is profoundly uncomfortable for someone who built a life around self-reliance. There's a reason this dance feels so seductive and so painful. The push-pull creates intermittent reinforcement, the same psychology behind why slot machines keep people hooked. The highs, those rare moments of deep connection, feel intoxicating because they're unpredictable. The lows, the distance, make the highs even sweeter when they return. For the empath, it can feel like a sensual, emotional roller coaster. One day you're melting into their arms, feeling desired and powerful. The next, you're left aching, questioning your worth. For the avoidant, your consistent love is both medicine and threat. It soothes their hidden wounds while activating their biggest fears. When you finally go silent, the intermittent reward stops. The nervous system, used to the cycle, goes into withdrawal. That withdrawal can manifest as collapse because the brain and body were more attached than they admitted. This is why silence from a high-value empath hits differently. You didn't just provide love, you provided presence, emotional safety, and a kind of quiet sensuality that made them feel alive in their body. Removing that presence is like turning off a light they didn't realize they were basking in. Now let's turn the focus back to you, where it belongs. You are not here to manage anyone's collapse. You are here to create a life and love that feels expansive, safe, and deliciously fulfilling. First, recognize the signs you're about to enter the silence phase. You feel emotionally exhausted after interactions. You're constantly interpreting their distance. Your own joy, sensuality, and desires are dimming. When those signs appear, it's time to turn inward with love. Here's a gentle way you can express your boundary while still keeping warmth and dignity. Say it in a soft, steady, confident voice. Hey, I've really enjoyed the connection we've shared. There's something about you that makes me feel seen in a way I don't often experience. At the same time, I've noticed myself putting a lot of energy into bridging the gaps when you pull away, and it's starting to drain me. I care about you, and I want us both to feel good in this. So I'm going to give us both some space to breathe. I'm not closing the door, I'm just choosing to pour my energy back into myself for a while. If and when you're ready to show up with more consistency, I'd love to hear from you. Until then, take care of yourself. Then you follow through. No explanations, no chasing. When they reach out during the collapse, respond from your power and sensuality. Keep it warm but firm. I appreciate you reaching out. I've missed the good parts of us too. At the same time, I've been focusing on feeling good in my own life, reconnecting with what lights me up, what makes me feel alive and desired in a healthy way. If we're going to talk, I need to know we're both committed to showing up differently. No more hot and cold that leaves me questioning where I stand. I'm open to that conversation if it comes from a place of real intention. How are you feeling about everything? Notice how these words keep your dignity, your sensuality, and your standards intact. They invite without chasing. They honor your depth without apology. Every day, practice small acts of self-seduction to rebuild your energy. Move your body in ways that feel pleasurable. Dance slowly in your room, stretch like a cat, feel the sensuality in your own skin. Journal the qualities you want in love, not just consistency, but the feeling. I want to feel pursued with the same warmth I naturally give. Create small rituals of self-care that feel luxurious, soft lighting, favorite scents, music that makes you feel desired. Remind yourself, your empathy is a gift. It should be shared with those who cherish it, not those who unconsciously drain it. The most seductive thing you can do is become so full of your own life, your own pleasure, your own quiet power, that anyone who wants access to you must rise to meet that energy. Long term, this dynamic teaches us all to move towards secure attachment. For you, practice receiving as much as you give. Let yourself be pursued. Let yourself enjoy being wanted without having to earn it through emotional labor. For the avoidant, if they do the work, they must learn that intimacy doesn't have to mean losing autonomy. That vulnerability can feel safe and even thrilling when met with consistent care. But you can't do their work for them. Your job is to model what secure, sensual, self-honoring love looks like. When you do, you become magnetic to partners who don't need to collapse to value you. They value you from the start. I've seen this pattern play out in so many lives. The woman who finally stopped texting first and watched the man who once vanished suddenly flood her phone with messages filled with regret. The man who gave endlessly until he went quiet, only to receive a vulnerable voice note from his partner admitting how empty the space felt without him. These moments aren't about winning or losing. They're about finally seeing your own worth reflected back clearly. You are not too much. Your depth is not a burden. Your decision to stop pouring endlessly is an act of profound self-love and ultimately the kindest thing for everyone involved. If this resonated with you, if you've been the empath who finally chose silence, or if you're watching someone you care about unravel, know that you're not alone. This dynamic is incredibly common, but it doesn't have to define your future. Here's my invitation to you. Drop a comment below. What part of this hit you the hardest? Have you experienced this collapse dynamic? Share with kindness. We're all healing here. If you want more practical scripts, boundary work, and guidance on attracting secure, passionate love that feels safe and exciting, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I create content specifically to help you feel confident, desired, and in control of your romantic destiny. You deserve love that doesn't require you to dim your light or chase across emotional deserts. You deserve a connection where the silence between you feels comfortable, not punishing, where presence is consistent and desire flows naturally both ways. Until next time, hold yourself with the same tenderness you so generously give others. Move through your days with that quiet, sensual confidence. And remember, the moment you choose yourself fully, everything changes. I'm sending you so much warmth. Take care, beautiful. I'll see you in the next one.